Michael Lulchak. Here is your suspension, version 29. It's attached to chassis 8 as a test. In fact, I just took off most of the bolts. The bolts you're going to want to attach are in these 4 outbound corners. There's plenty of holes to adjust the strut top mount up and down, front and back for adjustable caster angle and ride height. But what you're going to want are the furthest 8 outboard holes. 2 here, 1 on top and 1 below the lower A-arm. Oh, sorry, both below the lower A-arm. These 2. These 2 in the back, and again you have plenty of bonus holes for different attachment options, and these 2 on the top. Please use a washer on the outside and on the inside. Now to reach them, you do have to reach inside the chassis tube. Let's see if I can get there. You have to reach inside the chassis tube. So for the further forward ones, I do put a wrench in my hand and I reach it all the way in up to my elbow, and then I can reach the back of these. With my left hand then, on the left side of the car, I use a socket on a ratchet to loosen those. That's true for all 8. Let's go around the other side so you can see your right side suspension as well. This is exactly how I'd recommend you attach these. Now, as prototype parts, you can attach them a lot of different ways. I recommend using these 8 outbound holes. This one has already had most of the fasteners taken off. Same 8 holes. And in fact, for low speed test, you only need to use 4 of these, the outermost 4. Totally your call. Again, reach your hand in up to the elbow to do the 4 forwardmost holes. I'd recommend doing them first with the suspension securely supported by blocks of wood or a jack. That way your wrist has full clearance. These bolts won't be blocking part of your access. Please use a washer on the inside and the outside to distribute the load. That's how these have been stress calced for their bolt pullout calculations. Those bolt pullout calculations and stress calcs are in the WikiSpeed Team Dropbox folder. With this 1-inch steel washer to spread the load on both sides, we've tested these to each bolt hold 4,000 pounds. Seeing as the entire car weighs 1,404 pounds, with 8 of these we well exceed an 8x safety margin. I then recommend using the shortest bolt that will have a thread sticking out of a lock nut on the inside. Please use lock nuts, they don't vibrate loose. I use nylon lock nuts because they're reusable to a point. Please make sure there's at least 1 thread sticking out so the lock nut's engaged, and then the shorter the bolt from there, the more clearance you have to reach your hand past, and the less weight. The stress calcs are done using grade 8 bolts. These are 3/8 diameter, 24 thread. Those are available from McMaster Car or most online stores. Some hardware stores carry them. The 24 thread increases, which is considered fine thread, increases the bolt pull-out strength. More threads are engaged per length. And since the nut is only so big, we would like a high thread count. So all of our chassis calcs are done using grade 8 bolts, 3/8 diameter, 24 thread. We do now also support metric 10mm bolts with fine thread. However, the holes that have been CNC water jet cut on here are slightly over 3/8 diameter to support those. To get these bolts in, since these bolts are hardened steel and this is aluminum, which is actually tempered, very strong aluminum, but much softer than the grade 8 bolts, you can hit these bolts with a hammer. They will not strip. They will essentially file the aluminum. You wouldn't normally be able to do that. On a car that's made out of 6061 T6 aluminum with grade 8 bolts, you can. So if the bolt is not going through smoothly, you can twist it in and let it thread itself in, that'll work, or you can just hit it with a mallet or a hammer and push it through. That'll work just fine. This is your strut top mount angle. This is, and I think you know this, but for review, this is the suspension mount plate. This is the lower A-arm, and this one says right rear pointed forward. Here is our Skunk 2 Pro C damper and spring assembly that's mounted into the strut top mount frame. This adjusts its dampening, and you can adjust its ride height independently by changing springs, but you can also just rebolt the angle bracket up and down. I'll see if I have rear brake calipers. I'd like to send those to you. If not, they attach here and here. And this is the hub from the front of a 2006 Honda Civic. It's the front so that it supports the drive axles coming through, but I think you knew that already. That's your demo video. We're gonna clean these because they've been used for testing. We've tested them. Package them up and send them to you. I'm planning to do it by FedEx Freight. Take care, buddy.